With a tightening labor market, the competition for even low-level jobs is intense. What's happened here in Princeton is called de-electrification. In other words, not a single home or business has power. Well, earlier today, Salem's police chief told us that this is not Mardi Gras and this is not Bourbon Street. But take a look down the street here and you can kind of see why some residents say that that's exactly what Halloween has turned into.
Let's get right over to News Center 5's Jim Morelli live in Dorchester. Jim?
Well, Bob, I want to show you this tree where this lightning strike happened. It is right here at the edge of the park. A soccer game was going on at the time, and you can't see it from here, but there's a jagged line running down the bark. By tomorrow, Marshall Middle School parents will be getting this letter from the principal. It explains what happened and also offers recommendations for student cell phone use. Yeah, that is right. I will tell you, Route 9 is an absolute mess in both directions, and let me tell you what we mean. We're at the intersection of Route 126 and Route 9. Take a look at the water there. Well, you can almost say that Verrill Farms is no more. Take a look at the absolute destruction here. Greenhouses gone. There's also a retail building and then a much larger building beyond that, all looking to be, at this point, a total loss. We're not sure what caused this fire, but it quickly became an inferno.
It was just a huge fireball, smoke pouring out everywhere.
6 weeks before Halloween and a horror show in Concord, Verrill Farm, family-owned and area institution, burns to the ground.
Incredible loss. I mean, everybody everywhere around here knows, oh, Verrill, go to Verrill for good produce.
Only pumpkins and chrysanthemums escaped the inferno, which started around 5 o'clock Saturday and quickly spread to 4 alarms.
I have a store down in downtown Concord, and as soon as I got the news, I told everyone in the store, and people couldn't even shop.
Firefighters not only had to deal with the flames, but other issues too, including propane tanks on the property and a water supply that was hard to get to.
It's one of the few areas of Concord that don't have the hydrants every 500 feet, so there was a challenge with establishing water supply.
On the fringes of the fire, the owners watched it all go up. Employees of Verrill Farm watched too, uncertain at this point about the future.
We were like family, and I feel it just like the owner. We just try to be strong and hold on to each other, embrace each other, and we know we'll make it back.
And hours later, fire crews continue to battle what's left of Verrill Farms, and they are concerned about the heavy smoke that is coming off of the property. They continue to do some air quality monitoring to make sure that this smoke is not extra toxic, because this was, after all, a farm, although it was much more a retail establishment, so they don't think there's too much in the way of things like fertilizers. In Concord, Jim Morelli, News Center 5. Well, when we came up here to Epsom this morning, we ran into a guy by the name of Gary Lee, who we'll hear from in a minute. He was sitting by this lake yesterday about noontime when this tornado came through, and he described it as monstrous. And he told us that bad as the damage is here in Epsom, it was worse in other places, and we found that to some extent he was right. Splintered trees, houses torn apart. The National Weather Service finally assigning blame for all the damage. It was indeed a tornado. No revelation to Gary Lee, who watched the storm move through.
You could see the debris all circling around, going up, and I don't just mean little chunks of debris. I mean chunks of roof with shingles falling off of it.
Today, the first of many cleanup days in central New Hampshire.
It just sheared massive trees off up in the air. If it didn't rip them out, it sheared them off.
The tornado also collapsed this house, causing the only fatality of the storm, a 57-year-old grandmother. Firefighters rescued her infant grandson.
The baby is still at Concord Hospital. I was just told that it is ready to be released, and they're going to go pick the baby up.
Up the road in Barnstead, more destruction. This is Dow Lane in Barnstead, and this corner illustrates just how bad the storm was by the time it got here. Take a look at these massive trees that came down. There are dozens and dozens of them. All over the road here, you can see utility wires torn down, and now stories are emerging of narrow escapes. People such as Laureen Howard, who desperately tried to escape flying debris.
We got in here and we said, we're going to die. We were all screaming.
And there you have a live look at probably the biggest amount of destruction here in Epsom. Many houses here have been condemned. We don't have an exact number, but there were signs up on several condemned. Insurance adjusters were moving about, also making comments on the condition of these houses. Just a big mess. We did speak with New Hampshire Governor John Lynch a short time ago, And he tells us that the state is moving rapidly to try to get this area designated as a federal disaster area. That would open up money for residents here. I asked him, well, how long is that going to take? 2 weeks or so? And he said, well, no, we're hoping perhaps a week. So we'll see. Live in Epsom, New Hampshire, Jim Morelli, News Center 5. They've walked all over his good name for 50 years. Still, there lingers confusion.
A smoot? I don't know.
This is a smoot. The smoot, in fact. His first name is Oliver, and 50 falls ago, he was a college student on the brink of becoming a legend.
The pledge trainer said that he was having a hard time figuring out how much longer to walk across the bridge.
The Mass Ave Bridge, that is, the main walkway between Oliver Smoot's fraternity house near BU and his school, MIT. At 5 feet 7 inches tall, Smoot was the shortest member of his pledge group, and so he went from Boston to Cambridge one October night in 1958 on his back, and thus was born the Smoot.
It's sort of techie. I mean, it deals with numbers and measuring, but it's whimsical.
The final measurement any MIT student can tell you.
364.4 and an ear.
One of the more puzzling aspects of the Smoot system of measurement is the reference right at the end of the Mass Ave Bridge to an ear. Oliver Smoot says it was all about margin of error, or make that margin of error.
We might have had, a couple of inches of mistakes in our 364.4 measurings.
Pledge pranks rarely get official recognition, but this weekend Oliver Smoot is back at MIT for Smoot Celebration Day. He'll get a plaque, attend a party, and see dedication of an official Smoot stick. Silliness? Well, some might see the Smoot that way, but certainly not everyone.
Brilliant.
In Cambridge, Jim Morelli, News Center 5.